I, M28, live in an apartment that I got from my uncle. The apartment has 2 bedrooms, so as I don't need the extra space I rented the room. My roommate, M24, has been living with me for a little over a year and a half. He's been dating his girlfriend, F24 as well, I believe. For like 5 or so years, she lives in another house and has 4 roommates herself. As her house is more crowded, my roommate asked me if it was okay if she stayed over sometimes. I agreed since I don't really have a problem with it at all, as long as they're respectful. We haven't had any major issues until now. But his girlfriend got pregnant, he told me, and I was like, oh, great, congratulations. He did try to bring up a conversation to see if I allowed her to move in with him/us, but I said no. I work from home most of the time, I don't want to deal with a third person or a newborn in the future. He asked me if she could still come and stay some nights as before, and I said that was fine. She's like 4 or so months along her pregnancy. Well, these last 3 months she has grown to be very annoying whenever she's staying over. What I mean is that I got woken up in the middle of the night/early morning too many times because she's running to the bathroom at the end of the hallway. I don't use that bathroom, I have my own connected to my room, but my guests sometimes use it and they have said that it's dirty and messy. She's staying over a lot more nights than she used to before. And the biggest problem is that she has developed really bad nausea. Even now she's still having morning sickness, which I believe they must have stopped already. We've many issues regarding food, because my roommate and her asked me to stop having some foods that get her sick. I told her that this is not her house, she has no right to come and expect me to change my diet because of her. They took that very badly. I continued my life as normally. She always complains and runs to the bathroom when I cook. There have been a couple times when she has actually thrown up on the floor too, which is disgusting. I'm sick of it, to be honest, so I told my roommate that either she stops coming over, she stops complaining, or he moves out. I would give him a month or 2 if he needs it to find somewhere else to live, but I'm tired of having his girlfriend over. She's annoying me. He of course got very upset and said that she wouldn't annoy me so much if I was more understanding of her condition. Said that they're not in a comfortable position to move, that she's sick and needs his support, and all of that. Some of my friends/co-workers and family are on my side, but some others said that I'm behaving like a total a-hole and I could easily change my diet for a couple months. Comment 1. Consult a lawyer. There are definitely protections in place regarding housing discrimination for having a child. It's his child, this can be the baby's primary residence. Even if she doesn't move in. Find out your rights, sooner rather than later, regarding not resigning his lease or whatever. And if it would be easier before the baby. Comment 2. NTA. She doesn't live there, and you've made it clear you don't want an infant in the house as you work from home. While I do agree you might be a little more accommodating while she's there, your roommate and his GF need to move into their own space to prepare for a baby. They made a choice to get pregnant and stay pregnant, so they need to adult up and prepare for bringing another life into this world they will need to support. I was going to say ESH until she threw up on the floor multiple times. That's nasty. While I know you can't control morning sickness, she should be able to make it to a bathroom/sink/garbage can to throw up. Comment 3. NTA, they need a real plan if they are going to have a baby and they only have 5 more months to work it out. She can't stay in her old place with the baby and she can't live with you. They need to be looking for a new place to live together with their new baby ASAP. I suspect they were hoping to wait you out and then guilt you into letting them stay when the baby was born. Give him a deadline, he has 90 days to move out. So, it was my 20th mom's birthday, and it was her 40th, which my family regards as a milestone birthday. This birthday is a bit more important, because my mother is anxious about her 40s. Her father passed in his, so it was important to me that she begins this decade on a positive note. My mother has been married to my stepdad for 9 years, together on and off for 16 years. My stepdad is notoriously bad at birthdays. So since I was 17, I've planned my mother's birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas, etc. I tell everyone what we're doing, what she may want, who is allowed to know what, etc. She's been noticeably happier with that arrangement, which has left a dent in my stepdad's ego. So he said he would be planning my mother's birthday, without any of my ornery supervision. He made it very clear he did not want my input. So I let him do it. Sure, I gave him a good example to go by. However, as the day approached, it became clear that his plans weren't turning out as my mom would have wanted. He didn't celebrate because he mixed up the days, and took the wrong day off work, so he planned for the day before. He ordered a marble cake with whipped icing, tickets to the color purple, and a reservation to an Italian restaurant. Her favorite cake is chocolate with buttercream, she hates musicals, and her favorite thing to eat is steak with lobster tails. He didn't invite me or my siblings to any of these plans either, as the cherry on top. Worried that my mom might be disappointed, I discreetly made backup birthday plans, thinking it would be a nice surprise. So when the day before came, I let my stepdad give her the wrong cake, a musical, and a plate of pasta. He also lied and said he had mandatory overtime at his job on her actual birthday. Obviously, she did not have a good time. So the next day, I surprised her with everything: flowers, breakfast, spa day, comedy show, and a dinner at a steakhouse, with all of her children included. And she cried happy tears into her chocolate with buttercream cake. Overall, a wonderful success. When my stepfather found out, he was furious, feeling like I undermined his efforts and made him look bad. He argued that I should have trusted his plans and not taken matters into my own hands, for the sole purpose to make myself look good. I explained that I only wanted to ensure my mom had a special day, and the backup plans were meant to be a thoughtful gesture. Despite my intentions, tensions escalated as he felt his authority was challenged. Now, I'm left wondering, for trying to salvage my mom's birthday, or did I overstep by creating backup plans without consulting my stepfather? Comment 1. NTA. Stepdad completely botched the job. He planned a party for I don't know whom, but it sure wasn't for your mother. It's not easy to do such an awful job for someone you've known for 16 years, but he managed to do it. He's angry that you did the job he should have done, which you pretty well knew he wouldn't. This is an important occasion for your mother, and you made sure it was a success. You did a great job, your mother was happy, be proud of what you did. You didn't challenge his authority, you simply compensated for his lack of competency. Comment 2. NTA. Forgetting all his incompetency in planning out a special day, what kind of husband tries to make sure that his wife doesn't get to celebrate her birthday with her kids? First of all, he made sure not to invite you guys to his event, which whatever, not too much of a big deal in the end since it wasn't on the actual day. But then he also gets mad that the kids want to do something nice with their mom for her birthday. I'd have a tiny iota more sympathy for him if he had included you in his celebrations, though you'd still be NTA. Comment 3. NTA. Your stepdad has a problem thinking about other people. First of all, after 16 years he seems unaware of your mum's favorite things, and secondly, when you come in to help and provide those things for her, he's more bothered about how incompetent he now looks rather than your mum getting what she wants. My 7-year-old daughter, Elsie, has recently started to make mornings more difficult by throwing a fit when we ask her to get dressed for school. We've tried setting her clothes out the night before, but she still makes an issue out of it, and she doesn't want to sleep in her clothes, so that's not an option either. My wife leaves for work before me, so I'm normally the one who has to deal with the tantrums in the morning. I woke Elsie up, and as always, she refused to get dressed. I wasn't really in the mood to deal with her BS, and I didn't have the energy to fight with her about it, so I told her that it was okay and I'll just take her to school in her pajamas. She looked pretty shocked because I don't think it was the outcome she was expecting, but the rest of the morning went a lot smoother than normal. We got in the car and she was more quiet than usual, so I could tell she wasn't really sure what to think of it. But after a while of driving, I guess the realization set in, and she told me she wanted to go home and change. I told her she had already made her decision and I wasn't driving her back home now. She started freaking out, saying she wanted me to drive back home. She didn't want to go to school in her pajamas. But I wasn't turning the car around, so we arrived at school and she eventually went in. After my wife came home from collecting her from school, she looked pee. She didn't say anything in front of Elsie, but later in the evening, as expected, she went off on me. She started saying that I had embarrassed her and made us look like bad parents who can't be bothered to dress our daughter. I told her that I'm sure Elsie isn't the first child to go to school in pajamas, and it's not the end of the world. And she wears normal clothes every other day, so one day in pajamas isn't going to make everyone think we're bad parents. She told me she thought it was a cruel thing to do to Elsie, but in my opinion it was harmless and taught her a lesson. Comment 1. NTA, your daughter was testing boundaries and she learned the limit. If you had turned around, she might have done the same the next day and started a new pattern. By sticking to your decision, in a harmless environment when your daughter was in no danger, she learned a lesson about the consequences of her actions. Plenty of kids show up in pajamas, costumes, funky, cool, not funky smelly, clothes all the time. Comment 2. NTA. I'm not a fan of embarrassment as a form of punishment, but I do believe in appropriate teachings that there are consequences to actions. You did not harm your daughter. She chose not to get dressed for her day, and so her day progressed in the clothing she was in. Consequences to her actions. Comment 3. NTA, my reasoning is as follows. You made it very clear to her that this was going to happen before you left home, and she accepted this. True, it wasn't until you reached school that reality set in for her, but she isn't a toddler who can't think through consequences very well. I do note that the division here is between the people who think that this is a cruel humiliation and those who think it is a fair consequence for behavior. I imagine it will be very split because it's clearly quite emotive. I, 28F, have been able to get into the housing market in a good area, in a big apartment. My brother, 36M, is still living with my parents, and is getting kicked out in 3 months. Rent anywhere in my city is $400+ week. I feel sorry for my bro who has been in and out of a job for the last 8 months and prior to that was jobless for 2 years due to moving to a new job for burnout reasons, but then left his new job within 2 weeks due to bullying and toxicity. He had difficulty finding a job within that 2 years. He also had his car taken away because he has a lot of debt. But I don't want to live with him anymore and I cannot trust him as a tenant. Here's why. In those 2 years he was getting government subsidy, but my mum was shocked, heartbroken and infuriated that she had found him to have stolen $37,000 from her, spending it on drugs, expensive shoes and electronics, not even using it to pay off his debt. It took a while for us to trust him again, but even so I helped him out, buying him a new phone when his broke, paying for his gym sessions every week, buying him food and helping to pay some bills. He now has a job that pays a good amount, but he doesn't prioritize his spending on his bills and debt. He instead buys takeout, expensive shoes and miscellaneous want items. He is terrible with money. He has stolen from me and my mum, even when earning $900 per week. Plus he does not respect anyone's belongings at all. He's broken the bathroom light, sink plug, that was built in, bathroom drain cover, my car dash cam. He has used, without permission, my hair and face products which I have told him not to use because they are expensive and hard to get. He has rifled through my work bag and my room to steal from me. We both have ADHD and both use dexamphetamine, but he uses a higher dose than I do, and it was this time that he was trying to steal my medication. He tried to lie about it when I confronted him, but at that time my parents were on holiday, so it could only have been him. Thankfully I store my medication in a safe. I have tried talking to him, like my therapist suggested, but it is apparent he just does not care. He even said I don't care when I told him not to touch my mum's face products while they were away. He also refuses to see a therapist because he doesn't believe they help. I cannot live with him as I'm afraid my stuff will be stolen and my belongings in my house broken. He has not looked at anywhere to rent. I don't know if he expects our parents to let him stay or that I will support him. He may be without a place to live in 3 months. Comment 1. NTA, you are not your brother's keeper. Unfortunately, some people just won't get their shite together if they are never allowed to fail. I would suggest telling him now that you aren't a fallback option. I will also let him know that financial support is off the table until he has squared his debts with your parents. Comment 2. NTA. No one would want to live with someone like you described. And you would have a hard time getting him out once he moved in. Do not under any circumstances allow him to move in with you. He is a working adult and can figure his own living arrangements out. Away from you and your parents. Comment 3. NTA at all, and don't get guilt-tripped that he is somehow your responsibility. He isn't. He is abusing you and your parents, stealing, he is obviously having addiction issues, this makes him unsafe to be around. Let you actually live with him, OMG. No. Housing crisis or not, he is having personal crisis that is of entirely his own making. And it doesn't sound as if he is trying to get help or change. Stay away, support your parents, but keep your distance and don't let yourself be exposed to the liability of being around your brother.